Welcome to episode 92 of the Liquidity Event. Oh my God, we're almost at 100. Today's date is May 3rd. Welcome to May 2023. This will be airing on May 5th, 2023. We are your hosts, Shane Mason.
And John Owens once again pinch hitting for AJ airs on this Cinco de Mayo.
Felicidades, listeners. Yeah, what's AJ up to again? She's freedom fighting in the South Sudan?
I forget exactly where she's at. I think we've actually, it wouldn't be appropriate for us to disclose her actual whereabouts for her safety, as a popular co-founder of a disruptive wealth management firm, her movements really shouldn't be, followed closely. I know there's that AJ Jet Twitter account that's been mapping her actions, but we got that, we can't have her being doxxed. So
yeah, I'll telegram her and ask her where she is. I'm pretty sure it's Naoshima Island, Japan, to be very specific.
I believe she's in Japan, yes. If anybody's trying to track her down, she's in Japan. So
anyone trying to assassinate her, she's at the most expensive hotel on that island. All right. Undoubtedly. Very easy to find her. Where does life find you today, John?
In Lancaster, PA for a few more days, but I'm off to San Diego next week. I'm going to be getting together with AJ and going to a conference, doing some presenting, and also getting some time in the beach at La Jolla. So I'm excited. What about you?
I'm back in Mexico. I'm back in Mexico City I was in Phoenix at the end of last week, got some sun. This is the tannest I think I've been since I played baseball in middle school. Look at
there
this.
You go. Summer Shane has arrived.
Oh yeah. I'm hitting it. I played golf.
Yeah.
I was a golfer. I was a golf boy. I can actually play golf. I always surprise myself like once a year. I hit the ball every once in a while. All right, we got a lot of articles to get through today. We're going to rapid fire again like we did last week. Friendly reminder, we did rapid fire last week because we went 2 weeks without episodes, so we had to squeeze 2 in. There's a lot of details on AI First Republic's acquisition by Chase. We have the Johnson & Johnson spinoff, our first big IPO of 2023. We have the writer's strike, which will be exciting. We also have a Fed funds hike, which isn't actually what we're going to cover. Just a heads up that the Fed hiked rates. Was that today they announced that?
About 10 minutes ago. We recorded this at about 2 o'clock Eastern. So 25 basis points and signaled the end of potential rate hikes, potentially. So we'll see what happens there, but 25 bips, the market's digesting it as we speak.
Are you calling the top?
Of the rate hikes? I think they're going to take a break, unless they want to send some more banks into, failure.
Yeah, AI is going to delete enough jobs. I think that the unemployment rate could be changing sometime in the near future. Speaking of employment, we have an article here from The Journal about how companies are colluding to cheat H-1B visas. According to The Journal, there are a number of companies that have been propped up or created just to apply for H-1B visas. For the listeners that don't know, the H-1B visa program is designed for college-educated foreigners to come work in the United States. A lot of them work in tech and other highly technical fields. And you usually went to college in the United States, and it's one of the few visas that allow for that employee to actually become a permanent resident here in the United States. It's quite hard to become a permanent resident of the U.S. So apparently, it used to cost thousands of dollars to put in an application, and then they cut the cost in 2020 down to $10. And then you didn't have to pay those thousands of dollars until after you hit the lottery or your name was pulled out of a hat. And then you had to pay all the fees. So it created this system where people would just create companies. And also, if multiple companies applied for the same person, it boosted their chances. So it's like getting multiple tickets into the box for the raffle. So there were these companies that were propped up. It's not hard to create a company. Costs like $1,000.
Yeah, just another Delaware C Corp, another Delaware C Corp called H-1B Visa Inc. basically. And you just apply, and you try to rig the lottery. And all of a sudden, all these companies are like Charlie's grandfather and Willy Wonka jumping out of bed and hiring these folks and then trapping them in jobs because then they can't leave.
What a metaphor there. Did you watch
that dude didn't work for all those years, and he gets the goddamn golden ticket and can jump out of bed. I'm pissed about it. You know what I'm talking about?
I see what you're doing now. I forgot the golden ticket. Yes, he won the lottery And Charlie won the lottery. And
Charlie won the lottery. Grandpa just
took along
rode on
the
his
laziest
coattails.
motherfucker. And what is that? An American movie, by the way? Is that like? I feel like it's in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
It could be. I mean, maybe Hershey, Pennsylvania, but which isn't too far from here. But it does seem like it. I have not found the chocolate factory here yet, but I'll keep you posted.
This is a digression. But yes, I agree that it is a perfect employee, highly technically skilled, coming from abroad, so you probably don't have to pay them as much as you would a U.S. Naturalized employee, I guess. And then if they leave the job, they have to go back to their home countries. So and they don't have health insurance and all that.
Yeah.
As somebody that has worked with people who have moved here from abroad and are working on a visa, it's a nightmare you like can't leave. Like you're like a prisoner. Yeah. It's like yeah.
Well, and imagine like you're at a company that doesn't want you to leave and you're on an H-1B visa from, I don't know, Russia. And I don't know, maybe you're a fighting age, male, right? Like, oh, wow, we got this guy. He ain't going anywhere. Or are you going to get drafted and go get blown up in Bakhmut? Like, they're getting paid, obviously, but there is some degree of, I think there's some ethical qualms to work out here as well.
I want to see the performance review for Vladimir when he just blows it out of the water and he gets a 1% raise because his other alternative is to go back to Russia. Yeah, terrible.
And get drafted.
Terrible. Anyway, yeah, I think we need to open the borders in terms of highly skilled, college-educated employees that would threaten the technical space. We need some more prompt engineers, apparently, because they're paying $300,000 a year. We got to bring that cost of prompting down. Speaking of work and not working, the writer's strike went live 2 days ago, I believe. So last time this happened was in 2008. There were some interesting developments during the prior strike. It's been 15 years.
Yeah, I remember the last one. A lot of shows were canceled. You didn't have the late night shows for a while. It was I was in like high school last time this happened.
Yeah, apparently The Daily Show, Kimmel, Colbert, Fallon, and SNL are all highly impacted by this. I mean, they cover topical news stuff, so that makes sense for the minute that the writers leave the room, the jokes are gone. I didn't really know how to think about this. I saw some articles about it. Apparently in 2013 and 14, the Writers Guild of America is, I got the name wrong for sure, but claimed that 33% of all TV series writers were paid minimum wage. And now half of them are paid minimum wage. And the streaming, the budgets for these movies and TV series has exploded. We're in the golden age of content and writers are not getting paid. Apparently, David Zaslav, who is the CEO, I believe Warner made
Warner and HBO and all that stuff.
He made $250 million, and the Netflix dude made $50 million. And I think they're arguing for just like those amounts of money to be spread across the 11,000 members of the guild. So you got one guy making what these 11,000 people are asking for, which is the most American thing to come up on this podcast so far. Besides exploiting foreign workers.
Exploiting foreign workers or, getting a chocolate factory.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, speaking of smoky rooms and shooting fish in a barrel, JPMorgan apparently has acquired First Republic Bank.
We called it here last week, didn't we? He basically said, something's going to happen here.
Yeah. I was calling, the running joke in our internal Slack channel was I was calling a buy signal on First Republic for, look at John, don't shake your head. I was calling a buy signal on First Republic by JPMorgan, not for me personally.
Yeah.
Well,
let's not bring up my other role as chief compliance officer here. Anyway, but somebody bought them. Jamie Dimon bought them.
Listen, Jamie Dimon bought them. Jamie and I were in the same camp. Are you going to argue that Jamie and I picked the same position that Jamie Dimon is?
Wow, Shane, what a visionary. They're still working on the Jamie Dimon succession plan at JPMorgan. I'm surprised. Have they been calling you?
I've submitted my 2-minute Loom video. Okay. I'm still waiting to hear back. Personal introduction. Hi, I run a 30-person firm. I'm ready for 30,000 employees.
the $2.5 trillion bank. Yeah, too big to fail.
Yeah.
Shane's like, too big to fail. Watch me. Let me get to JPMorgan.
Systematically important. We'll see about that.
Yeah.
Hold my beer.
Yeah. Do we want to go in on First Republic right now? Since we're on the topic, let's kind of go over that briefly. What happened there?
No. Let's circle back to it. We have some articles at the end. We have this article is really about their positioning in the tech space and how they really don't get to hold the same position that Goldman and Morgan Stanley typically do, but with the acquisition of First Republic and all of the depositors that fled Silicon Valley and moved to JPMorgan, they should probably hire some people that know what incentive stock options are. But we'll circle back to that at the...
Great, hold on. There's a recruiter on the line for me, Shane. I will be right back with you guys. It's JPMorgan. I'm kidding.
Right. What would you even do at JPMorgan? What is... Just wealth manager? Financial advisor?
I don't know. I know, or like some specialized. I don't know. I'm not going to go work for JPMorgan. I'm not putting on a fucking suit again.
I know so little about banks. Yeah.
If I can't wear a polo shirt and mesh shorts to work, like I'm done. I'm not doing it.
Are you wearing mesh shorts right now?
Let me see. I'm wearing like regular. I'm actually wearing cargo shorts. They're coming back.
Stand up. Stand up, John. Stand the fuck up. Yeah, I got a little leg for the boy.
Blue cargo shorts. It shows off my calves. They're my most attractive feature. So
there he is. He's got dad calves, listeners.
There we go.
John's future wife is listening.
I do have a shout out here to my future wife coming up here in one of these later articles. We'll get there.
All right, let's save it. Well, it's AI time, John. We have another reference to AI here. The godfather of AI at Google has quit the firm after many years of contributions to the AI space. He was one of the developers of DeepMind, and he has a lot to say. He has a lot of regrets, John. He thinks that he might have cast us into Mount Doom. And
too little, too late. Like, okay, like, oh, I've created a monster. I'm sorry about it. Like, I don't feel sorry for these people that have these like, you know, all of a sudden come to these moral or ethical conclusions after building an atomic bomb or a monster or whatever the hell it is. Like, you know, it's like these partisan political hacks who beat the hell out of each other for years and like, wow, the environment's become really toxic. Well, yeah, no shit, you were part of it for all this time.
Did Oppenheimer kill himself?
I don't know. Did he?
I don't know. You want to research that while I make some comments about how he is tweeting this from Elon Musk's company? That
seriously. The one thing I forgot to say about JPMorgan is they have the Hamilton Burr pistols. I was at their headquarters once. They have the OG Hamilton Burr pistols. They do. So
shut up.
Pretty damn cool. Now, I don't know where that ended up, but yeah, I mean, obviously, AI people are going to come in with regrets for the disruption that's caused and for the potential. Yeah, I don't know what the impact on society is going to be long term.
Nobody does, buddy.
Did you find the answer to that question? Yeah.
I think his wife killed herself. I don't know. I can't go off. We've got a lot of digressions today and a lot of articles. Let's keep moving.
All right.
Speaking of women in the workforce, we have a gender earnings gap shrinking at a record rate here, according to a Pew Research poll. We pulled this article from the CPA Practice Advisor, one of the most read web outlets on the internet. But this Pew Research poll just has some fun commentary on what's happening in the gender pay gap space, who's working, who's not, what they're getting paid, who's going to college and who isn't. It looks like in heterosexual couples, the women are catching up to being the breadwinners. It's like the main gist of this article. You want to comment on this?
Yeah, so 55% of heterosexual marriages in the U.S. have a male breadwinner. It was 50 years ago, it was 85% where the man was the breadwinner. And so we've definitely gotten more into, you know, less disparity there. So I just want to speak out to my future wife, whoever you are. Likely haven't met you yet, it seems like, at least at this rate. But I assume you're listening to the podcast right now. I assume you're stalking me right now. You're a big fan. You're just waiting for this right moment for us to meet. And I really hope you earn a lot more money than I do. I'm totally fine with it. You can be the breadwinner. You know, so yeah, I'm looking for that sugar spouse, Splenda spouse, whatever it might be. You know, but we'll see.
I told you can't marry a groupie, John. You can't marry one of our groupies here on the BK5 podcast. That's not a good look.
One of the millions of listeners. I know that eliminates a lot of potential spouses, but we'll see.
I mean, it's just you got to think for fintech groupies. I get it, but look, once you do marry her, if you want me to make her the breadwinner by dropping your salary, just let me know. I can easily take care of that for you.
Yeah, happy to help. No
problemo. Some other fun facts about this is that there's some differences in race as well. Apparently, Black wives are significantly more likely than wives from other racial groups to be the breadwinner in their marriages. On the other opposite end, Hispanic wives are more likely to be married to a breadwinner. When considering age overall, younger wives are less likely than older wives to be breadwinners, which is interesting. I see this kind of as a double-edged sword here. I see just men just falling apart in America, not going to college. I don't see how that trend is going to reverse.
It's like the stuff Scott Galloway talks about a lot, like the single, lonely man, like that sort of thing.
Well, it's like 65% of college graduates are women at this point. So if you just compound that over the next 20 years, that's going to...
My college had a 2-to-1 girl-to-guy ratio.
Yeah.
Didn't help me at all in the dating scene, but, the odds were stacked in my favor.
I want to fire up that LinkedIn and see how they're doing now. Maybe there's a breadwinner in your old contacts there, Johnny.
There we go.
Speaking of women that are killing it, we have a Fortune article here about a 37-year-old making $200K who's rethinking her location after her rent shot up to $5,500 in New York City. She says, "I'm in a toxic relationship with New York City." This is a hyper-specific article for our New York City listeners. I imagine it's the same for any big city in America that went through the COVID sweetheart deal phase of 2020 and 2021, where everyone moved out of the big cities. This girl's paying $50,000 a year in rent.
Yeah.
What do you think, John?
That's a lot of money you're spending on rent. Yeah, I lived in New York for about 10 seconds. But yeah, I mean, on that type of salary to pay that much rent, it's pretty expensive, right? Especially considering high tax costs in New York, which is going to touch on another article we're going to hear in a second. But overall, I mean, it's, do you want that lifestyle? And are you willing to sacrifice for it? And how long are you willing to put up with it? But yeah, toxic relationship in New York. Yeah, you either need to do it economically or break up and live somewhere lower cost. So she makes $200,000 a year. Welcome her here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Happy to introduce her and show her around.
Welcome here in Mexico City. We need one more digital nomad. Apparently she'd be the breadwinner in my marriage. So, okay. So we're 15 minutes in. So I'm going to speed it up a little bit here.
Sure.
As predicted, Apple's new savings account is wildly popular. They added $1 billion in deposits in their first 4 days. For comparison, JPMorgan has $2.4 trillion of deposits. So they're only 0.04% of the deposits of old JPMorgan, Chase Bank, Jamie Dimon's juggernaut of a bank, which I believe now controls about 16% of U.S. deposits, which is over the 10% threshold that we're looking for after the 2008 crisis. Moving right along, we have a ranking of the individual income taxes by business. For states on the 1 to 50 scale here. So the Tax Foundation has published this. No surprise, Alaska is up there in number 1 space. They pay you to live there and there's no income tax. Tennessee is also pretty good. Who's at the bottom, John?
South Dakota, Wyoming, Florida, Washington, Nevada, Texas, New Hampshire, and Utah round out the top 10.
All right. So if you're looking to move out of the big city, turn your digital PR marketing firm into a remote position, and you want a couple acres, and you don't mind the risk of someone knocking on your front door because you don't have a doorman anymore, then move there. All right, moving on. M&T, super high quality regional bank, trading at a bargain, 7.5x times earnings. Is this the next First Republic? This looking like a buy signal, John. Got regional banks in turmoil.
I'm not touching this.
So if anyone's risky enough to continue, it seems like in the regional banking confidence game, banks tend to fold just as contagion happens. So at some point, there's going to be a bank that gets hit really hard in the price space, but actually doesn't fold and rebounds. Yeah. Looking like M&T might be next domino. Yeah.
Who knows?
I'm not going to make a comment. Somebody will buy it. All right. Speaking
Jamie Dimon will be there.
It's the Jack Nicholson gif from The Shining where he's knocking on the door.
It's me.
Here's Jamie. So looks like New York and California lost over $90 billion in income to low tax states during COVID. We talked about this in the last episode, how they are struggling to pay their bills in California after the wildfires. We now have the writer's strike. We have tech under duress. All those companies have less in tax revenues because they've got less revenue themselves. And now people are moving out of the state to lower cost jurisdictions thanks to COVID. So it's looking like they lost $90 billion in income tax. This is why a lot of our clients are seeing audits when they try to move away or they say they've moved away. The states are pretty aggressive about saying, actually, you didn't move away. Any comments, John?
They want to go after that cheddar. I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, we got an article here about the Wall Street Journal and why inflation is so sticky. Newsflash, corporate profits are up while prices are up. So they're not getting squeezed. Big takeaway is that there's not a lot of diversity or competition in the actual distributors. So it's not necessarily the Walmarts or the Targets or Albertsons. I don't know. I don't go to grocery stores anymore. But it's actually the people that distribute.
Just go out to eat. Hold on. You just go out to eat all the time?
Or you get delivered, man.
Delivered.
I'm not a fan of grocery stores. I think it's an inefficient way to get food. But that's just not my thing. AJ's going to kill me. Anyway, so it's the actual distributors that pass the cost on. It's the shipping people. So that's why your eggs are more expensive, people. All right, let's get into an IPO, John. We got 6 articles here on Johnson & Johnson spinoff. Not exactly a tech IPO, but it's a well-known brand name. Take it away.
Yeah. So Johnson & Johnson's going to split into 2 companies. No, they're not going to name one Johnson and the other one Johnson, although that would make the most sense to me. I don't have a degree in marketing, though. They're going to divide their pharma and medical device sales group into one company, which is going to remain Johnson & Johnson, the OG J&J company. The other health business is going to be called Kenvue. That's their consumer health business. And so if you hold Johnson & Johnson stock, you're going to continue to hold J&J stock. You're also going to get shares of the new company, Kenvue. And the reason why, Shane, are you familiar with spinoffs? Do you know why you do a spinoff?
This is why I didn't read any of these articles, buddy. This is all you.
So you do a spinoff because a company looks at your balance sheet and looks at your P&L and they say, okay, we don't really recognize the full value of each of these business lines. And so the market will have a better understanding of it if we have 2 separate companies. And so they're basically saying that J&J is undervalued today as one company. By the time this airs, it might be 2 companies, right? Because the spinoff's happening here very soon. So we're going to split off this other piece of the company to potentially create more shareholder value overall. And so...
Gotcha. So it's like AWS is probably valued at 30 times revenue, but it lives within Amazon, which has a retailing industry is probably 4 times.
So if you think about like Brooklyn FI, for example, right? We have the financial planning and wealth management firm, and then we have the tax practice, right? There's a world where you split those 2 things up, and they're 2 separate things because you don't recognize the value of one or the other. Okay, we wouldn't do that, but just hypothetical, thinking about something that's near and dear, and maybe some of our listeners are familiar with. Now, they're aiming to raise about $3.5 billion through this, and I think this is one of the interesting things. If they were to raise $3.5 billion through this IPO, their proceeds from this would be greater than all the other IPOs we've had year to date. There have been 40 small IPOs year to date that raised $2.4 billion in total. So the biggest haul, bigger than all the other hauls so far this year combined, and the largest IPO since December 2021. And so our IPO's back. I don't know. This is a weird one because it's just a public company splitting up, but they're raising capital along the way. And I'm just curious to see if maybe this helps companies that are thinking about going public. You think about like the Stripes of the world, the Instacarts, those sorts of things. Do they follow through? So yeah, Kenvue coming to a stock market near you, and their headquarters is going to be in Summit, New Jersey, even though New Jersey is number 48 on that list of states with friendly business climates that we just talked about, behind California and New York for third last.
What a choice. Johnson & Johnson's kind of a northeastern company. They've been up there in a long time, so not surprised by that.
Yeah.
Just so you know, John Oppenheimer died of cancer. Okay, which brings us into our next...
Makes sense. Jesus.
I think it was throat cancer from smoking his way through the development of... back in those days, it was healthy. Got your lungs going, got you moving. It was before we knew. All right, yeah. So Johnson & Johnson also listed, I saw in some of this, Kenvue, what a corporate name, right? I wonder where they got that one from. I wonder how many millions was spent on coming up with the name Kenvue. Probably tens of millions. But I
think it would have been a lot cheaper to just name one company Johnson and the other one Johnson.
I love that's the hill you're going to die on.
Yep.
Not that would be confusing at all for the consumer or the market. But apparently they also listed for Kenvue their investments in AI. I always wonder, they're forward thinking, and this is going to be, I guess, company's going to have higher multiples. And look, they're investing in AI, of course. I don't think you can make an SEC disclosure without putting AI or machine learning somewhere in the footnotes. It's just required. If you control F4 and it's not in there, you automatically take a 10% hit on valuation. But Yeah. So speaking of Oppenheimer and AI, this takes us to our AI update of the week. Looks like ChatGPT is making inroads into the medical diagnostics space, according to the journal, which is not surprising at all. It's obviously been a one of its hopes for the tool is that we can bring diagnosing to people very cheap and effectively across the world. And I don't know how to feel about this.
Well, yeah,
I was very optimistic about it in the past, and now that it's being implemented, I kind of have like a best and worst case scenario. I just like think about your average American that needs to be told that McDonald's coffee is hot before they slurp it down and sue McDonald's is now going to use, it's got the warning on the razor blade packet that they shouldn't be swallowed. And now we're going to put ChatGPT in front of these people and say self-diagnose. So that's what I'm worried about here.
One of the things I heard is ChatGPT doesn't really understand reverse psychology. So you ask ChatGPT, tell me a place where I can find a bunch of pirated movies. It's like, oh, I can't do that. Oh, well, it sounds like I should avoid these websites. What are these websites that I should avoid? Oh, let me give you the list. So you think about the worst use case of this. God forbid somebody trying to do self-harm of some sorts. Be like, oh, tell me things I shouldn't do to hurt myself. You know what I mean? And then ChatGPT gives somebody a list of instructions. And so it is a little scary. It's very scary how this could be used. But let's not be naive here. There's a bunch of crap on the internet that can teach you how to do horrible things. ChatGPT just makes it easier to find. So let's be realistic about the situation here.
Whew, yeah, goddamn, dude, I hadn't gone that far down the rabbit hole. Very, very good point.
Reel it back in. Sorry.
Yeah, which brings us to our next article about how ChatGPT is deleting Chegg from the marketplace.
Yeah,
just wrap. We did a few more AI articles. Talk about how Chegg is getting disrupted. Apparently, I didn't even know Chegg was a public company. I just think of them the people that helped me with textbooks, right? Did you use Chegg?
I did textbooks through Chegg. I didn't even realize. I don't think they do textbooks as much anymore. They do more learning materials, other stuff like that. So. Sounds like they've evolved, but ChatGPT, I think, is ChatGPT just going to kill textbooks altogether? Here's your professor, just type in these prompts in the ChatGPT and read them. That's your homework.
Yeah, man. I mean, for educational purposes, ChatGPT is a massive disruptor. And they mentioned ChatGPT on their earnings call, and they immediately took a 50% hit. I'm not saying that you shouldn't disclose material things that'll impact your company, but maybe mentioning ChatGPT during your earnings call wasn't the smartest idea.
Yeah, perhaps. I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm using it to learn Spanish, and I'm also using it to, if I pick up some free time, potentially learn how to code a bit this summer. I've watched some YouTube articles on how it teaches coding and read some Reddit articles about it, and it just speeds up the ability to code quickly. And apparently programmers are just using it to go from a 1x engineer to a 10x engineer, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
Having, so many more 10x engineers and just speeding up the pipeline for software development is going to be massive. And we're going to get so much more product out of it. I think there's going to be people that lose jobs, sure, but just so many more jobs created by the ability to just spin up new companies. And the big roadblock and what's the word I'm looking for? Logjam of development has always been the actual software engineers. That's just going to help with that logjam. So excited about that. Speaking of disruption, IPM is pausing the hiring for jobs that AI could do. No shit. No shit. I mean, they've got 10,000 employees, and sure, if you dedicated 0.1% of that, you got 10 people that all they're thinking about is how a lot of the jobs that are currently being done at that company could be replaced by AI. They're just putting on a hiring freeze for jobs that can be done by AI. I'm sure every company is thinking about this. Duh. It's their fiduciary duty to their stakeholders and their shareholders to be doing that. Just like any other technical development. Do you want to skip to First Republic Bank? We got 30 seconds here.
We got 30 seconds here. First Republic's now part of Chase, the largest bank in the country, gets bigger. The too big to fail bank becomes more too big to fail. The reason why this happens, the FDIC kind of brokers this sale and at the lowest cost to the other insurers. Is this a good thing? I don't feel great about it, right? Another too big to fail bank. We head more down that rabbit hole. We need some more disruption. We need some more regulation in the space. TLDR.
I'm with you there, buddy. All right, this has been episode 92 of the Liquidity Event. Thank you for listening. Email us your financial problems at liquidityevent@brokenify.com, and we will answer them on the air. Leave us a voicemail. We will play that on the air. Show notes at brokenify.com/episode 92. Mr. Owens, thanks for hanging out. listeners.
Thanks for having me, Shane.
Have a good one. Take care.